Hello everybody, 'tis I, TheRumpledOne. Tuesday, December 11th, the year 2012. Well, over the past couple of days, I've seen a couple neighbors I haven't seen in a while. Or actually one friend. One friend of mine lives about, 8 miles, about 5 miles down the road, 3 miles down the highway from me. Has a big ranch. I think he's got about a square mile. It's huge. He leases out some of the land, lets people graze their cattle there, and he's got a big blueberry farm going, or orchard. I'm not sure how you refer to blueberries. But he told me he brought in 5,000 pounds, but he wants to get up to 100,000 pounds. That's a lot of blueberries. And he was showing me how his one old barn, it's fallen, so he's going to have to jack it up and sturdy it up, and then he poured a new slab. He's going to build another building. I said, what are you going to do with that building? He's saying, well, it's dry storage, because here on the coast it rains a lot, so got to keep your hay and equipment dry. I was telling him, yeah, I was thinking about building another building, but that just means I'd get more stuff. He's got a dump truck and a front end loader. He's got a real ranch full of Tonka trucks and toys. And so I asked him, I said, so what you been doing for fun lately? He looked at me. Matter of fact, he said, I don't have time for fun. And it made me think, this guy's a real rancher, a real farmer. He literally doesn't have time for fun. It's up with the sun, down with the sun. He's out there mending fences, working on water. He's constantly doing things. It's a way of life. Then yesterday, my neighbor up the road, we share a corner, he stopped over. Hadn't seen him. Well, I saw him earlier this year in March. And he and my friend Robert, they know each other and they like to talk. They're about the same age. I think they are the same age. Well, we were talking, and we talked about a lot of things. 911. He talked about local government and Obama and a whole bunch of things. And we got on the subject of freedom and liberty. And he said that he didn't want to call me something. I said, well, go ahead, call me the worst thing. He goes, well, he used the word harsh because I was taking a stand. He goes, you got liberty over here and freedom, and you got, slavery over here. He says, but you're not allowing for anything in the middle. He goes, and he talked about room to maneuver. And I thought, and I pondered it for a few seconds while he was talking. And he said, freedom and slavery is just a concept. And the light bulb went off. I go, you know what? You're right. At least to a point. I've been pondering that since he left. See, slavery, if somebody's in chains, in bondage, well, that's not really a concept. That is a fact. That's a reality. But he talked about room to maneuver. He said between the two there's room to maneuver. And I said, well, actually, there is no between because they're concepts. There's just that space. And he goes, yeah, you're right. And so I've been thinking about it. Now, see, freedom is a concept. It really is. Because does it exist in nature? Well, we call it like the animals are free. But really, they just have room to maneuver. In the sense that if you look at a herd of elk, there's the number one elk, and sometimes the young buck wants to challenge him and they fight it out. But there's a hierarchy. And if you're on top, you get to do certain things. But if you're not on top, there's a few things you can't do. So there's room to maneuver. And I got to thinking about that, and I went back to Harry Brown's book, How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World, and I was reading in the chapter about freedom from government and the chapter about a fresh start. And that's basically what we have is we have this room to maneuver. there are laws out there. We can choose to follow them or we can choose to disobey them. Some laws we don't get caught. Some laws, even if you get caught, slap on the wrist, maybe a fine, but who cares? Other ones might result in incarceration for a long time. So you have to be careful. But I guess if you're breathing, you've got that room to maneuver, at least here in the United States. And you might not like paying taxes, because we were talking about the crabbing license. And I said it's probably a good thing I wasn't here when they enacted that, because I'd probably be in prison. Because I said I would fight that. I'd, break out Mr. Remington and fight over that. Because I just think it's wrong. But I wasn't here, and now you have to pay $7 for a crabbing license. And I think that's wrong. I think that's inherently wrong. But see, once again, it's a concept of right and wrong. So basically, there's a bunch of guys with guns called the law who says that if I want to fish there, I got to pay them $7 if I want to fish for crab. And if I don't, well then they're going to probably fine me and or incarcerate me. And if I put up a fight, I might get one or two of them, but they'll get me in the end. So those are my choices. Those are my options. But it's all about having room to maneuver. That's all we have. And the government, they're doing their best to fence us in, restrict our ability to maneuver. You want to travel, you better show an ID. At least if you want to travel by, plane, train, or bus. I guess in your own car you really don't have to anymore, but then again, you just might get stopped and they might ask to see your ID. Once again, they've got the big guns. You against the government, you're pretty much outgunned, outmanned. And Harry Brown says, just don't take the government on head on. Just go about what you're doing quietly. Don't draw any attention to yourself. Don't talk about it, just do it. I mean, it's up here in the rural area, there's a lot of deer running around. There's a certain hunting season. And during hunting season, you can take a buck. You're not supposed to take a doe. But there's some families up here that are hungry. They don't talk about what they do. You might hear a gunshot, or you might not hear anything. Could be a snare. Could be a trap. Could be a bow, arrow. People are eating deer. They call them poachers. But, when this land was settled, that was called surviving. Nobody told you you couldn't hunt to feed your family, or you couldn't fish to feed your family, or you had to pay a fee to do so, get a license. We let that slip away. Slip away. As my friend Ralph said, more people, less freedom. It's the way it happens. Not much to do about it, except hopefully, if you're lucky, if you're fortunate, if you work towards it, get something that you can call yours, but you're going to have to pay property taxes on it, so it really isn't yours, because they'll take it from you if you don't. And you just maneuver the best you can in the environment. I guess that's what surviving's all about. It's maneuvering the best you can in that environment. keep from getting eaten, regulate your body temperature, make sure you have enough water to drink, enough food to eat. Maneuvering. Something to think about, something to consider. Let me know what you guys think about that. Room to maneuver. I'd be curious to hear what you have to say. I'd like to thank my neighbors. I'm not going to mention them by name because not everybody likes to be publicized. But thank them for their time, their consideration, their thoughts, taking time out of their day to spend some time. Appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day to watch these videos. So, I think I made enough videos for today, so I'm going to get back to prepping. Because if I fail to prepare today, I'm preparing to fail tomorrow.